Who is Bella Baxter and why is every man in love with her? I haven't done a spoiler in a while, so I'm going to be spoiling the movie Poor Things. And if you don't want the movie spoiled, save this video for later and go watch it on Hulu. But this movie is a 2023 fantasy comedy and it follows the story of a woman named Bella Baxter. Before present time, she had a completely different life. A huge house, successful husband, and was expecting a baby. But for a reason we'll get to soon, she decided to throw herself off of a bridge. Thankfully, she was found by Godwin Baxter, also known as God, a professor and mad scientist doctor who had some real childhood traumas. He was able to save her life, but in the most unconventional way. Bella definitely died from the fall, but her baby survived. Godwin Baxter delivered the baby and transferred its brain into Bella's body, and miraculously, she was brought back to life. Although this is amazing, there was one little caveat. Bella now has the mental capacity of a newborn baby. She was most certainly alive, but as an underdeveloped adult who lived under the watchful eye of Dr. Godwin, as well as his right hand, Mrs. Prim. As Dr. Godwin grew older, he knew that he was going to need more help. So he asked one of his eager med students named Max to assist him. Over the next few weeks, Max found himself falling for Bella, her naiveness, and even her bluntness. That's when Godwin suggested, hey, why don't you guys get married? They got engaged, and the next thing you know, Godwin is inviting a lawyer to draft out Bella and Max's marital agreement. This lawyer's name was Duncan, and he could not care any less about this engagement. Once they saw the lengths that they would go to marry Bella away, he made it his mission to seduce her, telling her all these beautiful things and asking her to go adventure the world with him. Regardless of her engagement to Max, Bella ends up agreeing to this. So she and Duncan left to Lisbon together, and that's where they had a gluttonous amount of intimate interactions. That is until Duncan realized he couldn't keep up with her. At the same time, men were literally drooling over Bella, throwing themselves at her, and this made Duncan very jealous. So jealous that he ended up kidnapping her and putting her on a cruise ship, all with the hopes that he could gain some control over her. Little did he know that was far from the truth. While they were there, Bella ended up meeting these two people named Martha and Harry, and they ended up helping her develop her ways of thinking through books and philosophy. Meanwhile, Duncan hated this new version of Bella. He wanted her to stay ignorant and there for his every beck and call. His inability to control her drove him mad, to the point where he spent every single night drinking and blowing his money away at the casino. Meanwhile, Bella had the unfortunate but necessary opportunity to see what true poverty looked like. This broke her heart so much that when she returned to her cabin and saw that Duncan had passed out on the bed, just lying there in a pool of cash, she decided to collect it all and give it to the less fortunate. Where in reality, she gave it to two people who said they were going to give it to the less fortunate. When Duncan woke up and found out what she had done, he was livid. And since they didn't have enough money, they were kicked off the cruise ship. Left in Paris in the dead of winter, no money, no clothes, no nothing. That is where, instead of complaining like Duncan was, Bella decided to look for a place to stay. She came across a hotel which she didn't realize was a brothel, and she ended up agreeing to sleep with a man for money. And once Duncan found out what she had done, he was disgusted. But not as disgusted as he was when he found out that Bella had money hidden in her pocket this entire time. Godwin had stitched a large amount of cash inside of her jacket before she left. So when he saw that, he lost it. They ended up breaking up and Bella went back to the brothel where she learned a lot more about men, life, and the way the world works. While at the same time, she ended up befriending another woman that worked there named Tanette, as well as ended up going to med school where she could learn to be just like Godwin. At this point, we can conclude that, as far as development goes, Bella was doing pretty well. That is until she found out that Dr. Godwin was dying of cancer. She ended up going home, and that's when she learned the truth about what happened to her, as well as the fact that they tried to make another version of her named Felicity. And needless to say, they ended up failing pretty bad. She ended up forgiving them for their actions and decided to officially marry Max. But then a plot twist happened. While at her and Max's wedding, her previous husband showed up. He literally said, "I object, you're my wife, come home with me." And that's exactly what she did. But once she got settled back into her new home, she learned the reason why she tried to off herself in the first place. This man was crazy, even threatening to shoot her if she tried to leave again. But this whole situation had to come to an end when he tried to sedate her and put her through brain surgery without her consent. She wouldn't allow it, and he threatened to shoot her again. And this didn't end up going in his favor because he got shot in the foot. He He passed out, she called her fiancé Max, and they put him through surgery, replacing his brain with a goat's brain. Afterwards, Bella, Max, and her goat brain ex-husband returned back to the mansion to say goodbye to Godwin. He passes away, and she, her best friend Tonette, and her husband Max live happily ever after, alongside Mrs. Prim and Felicity. But for the most part, this story is a wild one. If you've seen it, I want to know your thoughts, so go ahead and leave them in the comment section.